Press the button.
What next for Shayna Baszler? I bet you we were live anyway. What next for Shayna Baszler now she's retained the NXT Women's Championship? I guarantee you we were live right at the start. I am Luke Owen, this is El Fagador Laurie Blake, and welcome to the NXT review. The WrestleRamble review of NXT TakeOver New York. As you can probably hear, Ollie Davis is our producer today.
What up?
He's the one who's telling us if we're live or not. And so, of course, make sure you subscribe, give us a little super click party, press the thumbs up, subscribe button, etc.
Do the bell.
Do the bell.
It
and
might
all
make
that.
something happen. You never know. YouTube might be nice to you.
It might actually give you some notifications, but we don't quite know. But yeah, so last night it was NXT TakeOver New York, although technically it was this morning for us because it started at midnight. We watched the show live. Thank you to all of us that joined us on the stream. But I thought one of the more, there was so many talking points coming out of this. We had dozens upon dozens of titles that we could have done for this WrestleRamble. But I thought
amazing show.
An incredible show. Absolutely amazing. 5 out of 5 I gave it for the review, which is currently live if you want to go watch that.
Bit harsh, Luke, to be fair. Bit harsh.
I am negative, it must be said.
Negative.
Yeah, I am absolutely negative. I thought one of the matches was a match of the year contender. I'm so negative about this show.
The wrong one, though.
Oh, that's the problem, I guess. But yeah, so I thought one of the big talking points coming out of it was the surprising victory of Shayna Baszler. I don't think there were that many people going into this that thought that Baszler was going to retain.
Definitely not. No, I think it felt like it was perfectly engineered situation for her to pass the title on without really losing any of her sort of strength and the mystique around her, right? Like, this was the purpose. She didn't have to get pinned. She didn't have to get tapped. She could just lose the belt without really damaging her too much. And it didn't happen.
No, it did not.
And she looked pretty competent for, you know, it was Bianca Belair mostly taking the big moves, I felt like. It was, Shayna was just sort of out of the way and then snuck in being the mastermind tactician to steal the win.
Well, that's because she had her face imprinted on the ring post, so I think that distracted her for some of the match. Yeah, and she took that right
like
smack,
a champ.
Like an absolute champ, yeah. So if you don't know the spot, they were trying to repeat the spot they did from Phoenix Wright, where she grabbed Belair by her hair and then pulled her into the ring post. Only this time, Belair got the foot up and used her own hair to pull Baszler back, and Baszler just literally ran into the ring post.
Yeah, if they ever have a match again, she'll whip it around the back of Baszler's head and just do that.
With all the force that Braun Strowman runs round the ring to run people over, that's how fast Shayna Baszler pulled herself into that post. It just went splat into it. It was marvellous. But yeah, she picked up the win. And you and I both had down Bianca Belair to win. Ollie Davis had Io Shirai to win. On the TakeOver, on the NXT review before TakeOver, we both said, actually, Kairi Sane might be coming out the winner of this. But Baszler's won. So Baszler's still champ. So,
Sneaky.
What next for Shayna Baszler?
Candice Larae.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Is my pick. I feel like that little 1-minute promo that Candice had prior to in the NXT before TakeOver, that little bit with Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah, she's got a match on the kickoff show or basically taped before TakeOver goes out. Right, that's going out next week.
Yep.
She featured in Johnny's ending, and I feel like that this is the point now. Like, she's kind of been on the back burner because she's been involved in the Johnny Ciampa storyline. That is resolved now, and Johnny can just go forward being great champion. Doesn't really have to be the sort of focus of this huge, all-encompassing, all NXT dominating storyline. So maybe it's Candice's time to almost just replicate that success.
Exactly, yeah.
As the sort of underdog character. And they can be Mr. and Mrs. Wrestling running NXT,
yeah, I was going to say, because
you can almost a cool story.
You can almost imagine them, because they were sort of doing that in Impact with Johnny Impact and Taya Valkyrie, of the power couple holding both titles. So yeah, so you can almost imagine the ending of a TakeOver show with Gargano holding up his belt, Candice holding up her belt, and they the new power couple of NXT.
And I think it's probably also then builds to the idea of having the women main event, another show again.
Exactly,
let's have a big main event with the women again.
Yeah, if you really build an incredible storyline between Candice and Shayna, then absolutely, it would main event the next TakeOver. Perhaps because they've got one in July, haven't they? Or is it in June? Davis, you could do some research into that of when the next NXT show is.
On it.
Thanks, mate. You can also tell that Ollie Davis is in control of the camera changes as well.
What am I researching? I wasn't listening.
When the next takeover is. I think there's one in June or it's in July.
On it.
Thanks, mate. He's so charismatic.
He is, truly.
This is great for podcast listeners too. So I think Candice is a great shout. Mm-hmm. The other name that I had down, although I don't think it's possible because I think her injury is going to keep her out of it, is Dakota Kai.
But I think that's a very good shout because I think they would both fulfill a very similar role. Like, I think they'll probably do with Candice what they were maybe intending to do with Dakota, like that sort of. Dakota is the one that's been bullied by Shayna Baszler
for years now,
and has had to overcome all of that. So I think they'll probably step that up with Candice maybe, and then do that storyline. But I think it would go the same way with either woman.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and I think the injury is probably what would keep Dakota out of the running. Yeah. If only because NXT is very big on its long-term storytelling, as we've seen with the Gargano Ciampa storyline. So I think that's what I was thinking about this morning. The whole bullying storyline they were doing with Dakota Kai, which was it's a couple of years old now. Yeah. You can go back and kind of retread that ground and show the videos of her doing the arm break spot and this, that, and the other, and Dakota always coming up short against Baszler because of run-ins and this, that, and the other, being saved by Ember. Like, Ember Moon was still in NXT when Dakota Kai was being beaten up by Shayna Baszler. So it's a long-running thing. But I don't know when her injury is going to allow her to come back. No. I think at most it might be like August, September. Yeah. And I don't know if they're going to hold off on that and to carry on this Shayna Baszler storyline, or, as you say, go with Candice instead.
I think they're going to want to move Shayna on sooner rather than later.
We said that before TakeOver.
Yeah, but I don't think it's that sort. I don't think she should be sticking around for ages. I think she's sticking around for the foreseeable. Mm-hmm. You just don't want her to. She's going to cap that division in what will turn into a negative fashion, I believe, because she's so dominant. Yeah, and I think like we were saying, like, she has beaten the three most sort of well-regarded contenders that you could have for that title. Like, these are the most sort of authentic people that you'd be like, okay, well, I can see all of them being a champion. One of them has already been the champion. Yeah. Who is left? And it's Candice. And or it's Dakota.
Or it's Aaliyah.
No, back in your closet.
I'm just saying.
It could be Aaliyah.
Could be Casey Catamaran. You don't know.
It could be Kate. Well, yeah, but that's also, I think Casey Catamaran,
Casey Cantaloupe,
Dakota Kai, and Candice occupy a very similar appeal, I think, as like they are kind of bubblegum, cute, friendly in a very Bayley way.
Yeah, it's Alexa Bliss before she turned heel.
Yes, but not as
not as glittery.
Yeah, or as not over as that was. Like, I think the sort of point would be they would be the sort of people to come up in that same Bayley way, like against a really mean, like, the Sasha Banks level bully kind of thing. Like, and you can replicate some of that kind of friction that the women's division has been missing to a degree.
And Casey did have that sequence with Shayna Baszler. Mm-hmm. Was it a couple of weeks ago? It wasn't last week's, was it? It was the week before when they did the tag match.
Oh,
where it was her and Lacey Lane.
Flipping out on bits. Yeah, that was cool.
Maybe they are sort of setting up some stuff with Casey to go up against Shayna. Maybe not for a TakeOver match, or maybe just for an NXT match. Yeah. But I think they might be doing something along those lines. The other avenue we could possibly...
She needs to be on telly a little bit more before she just goes... hop, skip, and a Baszler. Like, I get that you're an American Ninja Warrior, but like, we can't just go, Baszler.
Well, she was in the Royal Rumble. Yeah. So the other question is, and we've talked about this kind of briefly on the show before, but they could still do a main roster call-up. She just is still the NXT Women's Champion.
Yes, absolutely. I think we were discussing that last night when we were just saying, like, it wouldn't harm anything to just go, well, Baszler is the NXT Champion, and then we're going to push if we are going to do a horsewomen versus horsewomen match, we're going to build up to that at the next big pay-per-view we've got coming up, and then just keep Baszler and the other guys down in NXT.
Yeah.
But they're just Ronda's back up on Raw and SmackDown.
And you could actually add a really fancy booking at the wazoo here, but you could even do a very interesting storyline where one of the horsewomen challenges Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship, and that then gets defended on a main roster show. Like that gets defended at Money in the Bank or something. And
that would be cool.
You do Bayley versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT. Like that then puts the women's championship on a major level.
Yeah,
because that's main roster level
Maybe
worthy.
Charlotte would be good.
Yeah,
if Charlotte's not winning at Mania, that would be awesome.
Yeah, Charlotte going after the NXT women's like that's my championship. I'm the person who made that championship relevant and things like that. I'm the person. Like I mean, you'd have to ignore all the work that Paige and everyone else did, but she's Charlotte Flair, so she could probably get away with saying that sort of thing. So I think there's almost some scope to do that as well. If you really want to start pushing this NXT, it's Triple H said it's not a developmental brand; it's a third brand.
Yeah,
and if you want to push it as a third brand, then you do need to give it some legitimacy. And you've got that with NXT people showing up in Royal Rumbles. But having one of their titles defended on a main roster show would be... That's not even...
They would have had that legitimacy way earlier if they hadn't done a back and forth with Kevin Owens and John Cena and just been like, Owens pins John Cena. That's it.
Yeah,
End of story.
Absolutely, yeah. Let's quickly talk about the match itself. I thought it was really good. It's just, it was a shame it came after the Pete Dunne-Walter match.
Yeah.
And the crowd were a bit spent. And I don't think it took them a little while to get heated back up for this.
Yeah, and I think that's just when you feed off the audience, it becomes quite difficult to feel like it's. And I think also like it is just a shame of it's actually just the pacing of the show. It's nothing to do with like men and like that.
They're not as over.
It's not being as over and stuff. It's just because of where you fall in the kind of card of things, and it happens to be that Pete Dunne and Walter tore the house down. So,
exactly, they had a main event level match.
Yeah, that just everyone was just like, okay, I need to go to the toilet.
Yeah, I need a little quick.
I need
to sit
a
down.
little break. Yeah, and I think they did very well to sort of whip that back up again after like
Sky Pirates were great.
I mean, I think that was the thing is like once they sort of started rolling. It was a really, really cool match with some amazing moments and some incredible spots. I loved all of the stuff between Kairi Sane and Io Shirai, breaking up each other's pins and like half apologizing to each other, but then sort of also being like, I kind of want the belt. Like
it was that moment when I think it was Io had the pin and Kairi was the one that broke it up, and Io's face was just like, what?
That was and then Io breaks up Kairi's one, and she was like, "I'm sorry,
I'm
but
sorry.
Actually, you know what?
I'd quite like to win.
I
just think it'd be nice if I won.
That's why we keep doing this. That's what this means.
Yeah, we can't be tag champs, so let's be I'll be a solo champ.
Yeah,
and I'll give you first shot. So I thought there was some really nice stuff in there. I think Bianca Belair almost became the afterthought of the match, really, because you had all the great stuff with the Sky Pirates and Baszler retaining. Bianca really only had her one big spot, which was doing the big double KOD at the same time, which I'm not going to take anything away from because that was incredible.
Well, you could see how much a feat of strength it was from her face.
Yeah.
My God. I've never seen anyone regret something so much so quickly. She just went, oh my God. But hit it perfectly as well. Like normally people just sort of
fall out
attempted
of that,
it, but she proper chucked them both.
Absolutely, yeah. Amazing. To do it into that sort of Michinoku driver position as well. Really, really impressive stuff.
She's an incredible athlete.
She's
next level.
Nuts. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, and then we thought we were going to get a title change, but no, Shayna Baszler just dragged down Bianca Belair after the double KOD, knocked her in the Kurifuna clutch. Baszler fought for all she could, but had to tap out in the end, and Baszler retained.
Yeah, interestingly, that no interference or anything from the horsewomen, no shenanigans here. This was Baszler just being like, I'll do it on my own.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I do like about NXT. You don't always have to have, just because you've got backup doesn't mean they have to always get involved.
And we always say
this
about disproved here, but we said about a few of the Adam Cole matches where he just turns up and does it on his own.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just to prove that you can, which is great because it makes you a legitimate, like, there's a reason these people are following you, and it's not just because you're like, all of us together are much more stronger than this one person. It's like, I'm worth following because you can, strap yourself to my rocket.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hang on my coattails because I'm going somewhere.
Well, what did you think of the match, and what did you think? Who do you think is next for Shayna Baszler? Why didn't you tell Ollie Davis in the comments? But we're going to ask Davis now. Do you have any questions for us?
Just the one here. More of an observation from Timon Uzumaki. Just to remind everyone, Io Shirai is that, or Io Shirai?
Io Shirai. You
Shirai
know it's Io as well.
Is that only one Shayna Baszler has never pinned or submitted in the NXT roster. Maybe it will play out in a future storyline. Back to you.
It's an excellent point, actually, yeah, because she has pinned Shayna, but Shayna's never pinned her or tapped her out. So, yeah, maybe that'll be the next TakeOver match.
Yeah, one-on-one.
a one-on-one Baszler, Io Shirai, and kind of like wrap up that storyline. Not so much wrap it up, but if you do want to move on to a Candice or someone else.
Yeah, would you think there's the potential for Io Shirai to be the champion?
To win then, yeah. That's actually a very good shout.
When no one's getting in her way.
I mean, clearly they love her.
Does she have to have like a minor feud with Kyrie to sort of push that through and be like, look, I'm going for this on my own. I don't need you backing me up. What's the point in labeling them Sky Pirates if you're going to break them up as friends?
Or do you do Io and Baszler at the next? Did you do that research for us, Davis, about when the next show is?
Sure did. It's not been confirmed. We know it's in June, but WrestleVotes has tweeted back in March. NXT TakeOver San Jose, scheduled for Saturday, June 8th. Same venue as NXT's first major touring show. And there is no...
pay-per-view.
Just got choked up. There's no main roster pay-per-view the following night.
Yeah, so it's the first time they're just like alone, really.
We were talking about this in the office before we came down here and just saying, like, I think that's a good move. I think it's like, because it's one of those things, going into this weekend, I was like, well, TakeOver's tonight. And now I kind of feel like, I'm not bothered about the rest of the wrestling. Like, I've seen the thing I wanted to see. And it's almost better for the main roster to move TakeOvers away from, like, burning the crowd out a night before or 2 nights before and then be like, now watch this 11-hour show, please.
And yeah, because you almost set yourself up for failure then, really, because like clockwork, the comments left on the review we did today were just like, try and top that main roster.
Exactly.
Main roster failure. Yeah. Main roster will never be on this level, because you're setting yourself up for that by putting on this show.
Yeah.
And there have always been these reports that Vince gets really annoyed about this, because I think it was a couple of years ago now. It's when Charlotte and Bayley were still in NXT. And they did a pre-takeover show where the crowd were chanting "Better than Mania," and apparently that got back to Vince, and he was really, really upset about it.
Yeah, well, rather than improve the level of the wrestling, let's just move everything away. Yeah, it's better.
Sorry, Davis, you wanted something.
I was just going to say I disagree with everything you say. I like NXT pay-per-views being near the main roster ones. Makes more of an event weekend, especially around the Big Four. And I would just say do it better main roster.
Yeah, no,
or put the main roster on first and have TakeOver be the come down show.
And
I'd use come down in quotation marks.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you, Davis. I just think that they can also hang on their own 2 feet and just do like they are doing in June, or at least reportedly doing in June.
Well, I think it makes it a third brand then, doesn't it? If we go back to a world in which, you know, like we've got the best of both worlds now and all the pay-per-views are combined, but if we went back to a brand split world, like TakeOver would be its own brand and therefore it would be SmackDown gets mid of the month, Raw gets the end of the month, TakeOver fits in somewhere between every 3 months.
We need that many shows, though.
No, we don't need that many shows. Like, it's a lot more work for us.
Yeah.
The debate rages on, by the way. Was Walter versus Pete Dunne a good match?
Yes, of course it was.
We'll get to that in a bit, but...
so Tanner Starica says, Walter versus Dunne, match of the year. Good luck, WrestleMania. Whereas a few other people have said either match of the year, 3 stars, or it wasn't. It was 4 or below.
Oh, because that's a bad thing, then, isn't it? If it's 4 or below, it's a bad match.
I think it's just
it's 4-star match.
It's obviously a taste thing, and I think Walter Pete Dunne was a very different sort of match to the main event with Gargano and Cole, because the main event was a very fast-paced, kick-out heavy affair of just doing crazy spots. Yeah. And Walter Pete Dunne was a couple of high point spots punctuated by methodical psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll get to that in a second, though. Let's kick off the night, though. We didn't really watch the pre-show because we were over on Screenstalker playing 2K19 quite poorly, but thankfully it turns out that's just what the NXT pre-show was as well.
They were also just playing 2K19, so it's fine.
It was just people playing 2K19 and Charlie Caruso in an empty arena. So, don't think we saw a lot in there. I've seen a lot of people really did not like the chap that won it, but...
Golden Voice.
However, I did get an email in about this. So, Jaron Walker, who's one of our regular Podswafters who emails in, sent me this email. It was on the way coming in here, so I haven't actually had a chance to read this yet, but he's talking about the WWE 2K19 $1 Million Challenge. He says, hey guys, so I actually happen to know the guy that won the $1 Million Challenge at NXT TakeOver pre-shows.
Whoa.
Here's how he won. There's a flaw in the game, especially with Brock Lesnar, where if you get extremely extremely close to your opponent, it's almost impossible to reverse the close range attacks. I've been professionally playing WWE 2K19 online mode, and to be honest, I'm displeased with attacks that Steven used to win. I've played with him before, and he tried to do it on me. Here's a video of me beating him for reference, and he's included a link to that video. Anyway, his cockiness is legitimately him. He wasn't even playing a character. I see people online saying that this contest was rigged, but surprisingly, it isn't, even though I'm fully aware it looks like it was. Steven, or maybe it's Stefan, could be Stefan, is very confident but lacks the realization that without that flaw in the game, he wouldn't be as good as he claims to be.
He's cheesing it.
Hopefully they'll have another contest next year. I'd like to think that I could get the crowd on my side. I'd like to know what you guys thought of that pre-show contest, although I've already heard Luke's thoughts on it, which I didn't really have a lot of thoughts on it.
No, I just thought it was weird.
It felt like it was cringy to watch.
It looked like nobody wanted to particularly be involved.
Yeah.
Xavier Woods could barely contain himself with apathy. And for someone who is usually the king of being energy, he even looked like he was just like struggling not to hold in sort of a nervous, this is weird laugh.
And like AJ going like, now you got more money to get out of your mom's basement.
Yeah. Corey could not give an F, could he?
He
was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. And I think, like, as in the review,
when you said come back to NXT, I was hoping for something more.
He thought he was the dog's bollocks. The crowd treated him like he smelled of dog's bollocks. They were not a fan of him. So that was the pre-show. We didn't really see much of it.
He was the heel to AJ Styles, though. So that's,
But great video opening package, as per for a WWE-based event. So loved that, and I loved it was covering the history of NXT as well and showing some of the really big moments and the big stars that have won titles from this hallowed ground.
Yeah, it was like watching people that you remember who've gone on to worse things. Goodbye. In memoriam.
In Treboram.
Yeah.
Then we had our first match of the night, which was the War Raiders defending their NXT Tag Team Championships against Aleister Black and Ricochet. This was a cracking match.
I love this so much.
So much.
I think they did really well as well. Like, it was interesting because they kind of paired off almost to a degree. Like, it was Rowe and Aleister Black having a battle of the tats, and it was Hanson and Ricochet having a flip-de-do-off.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Anything flippy you can do, I can do, but in a larger frame.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I can defy physics. Even more so. I'll rip a hole in space-time. I don't care. What a match!
It was so much fun.
Yeah, I think it was, but it was exactly what you were expecting. I think is the thing. It was like no one was looking at that going, well, that won't be an awesome opener, will it?
No, exactly. Like when we're doing previews for this as well, we said that I don't think anyone going into this thought that Black and Ricochet were winning the belts because it's quite clear that they were main roster bound. Mm-hmm. But it was going to be an awesome spectacle match. It was going to be an awesome exhibition match, if you will.
What a fantastic send off for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if there have been reports confirmed about Ricochet's potential injury. It was reported that the match was cut short because he hurt himself, which seemed to be like when he splattered off that 630.
Yeah.
Holy heck! He landed hard on the mat with all the force.
Yeah, so I said earlier about the Bianca Belair thing. Never have I seen anyone regret something so instantly. No, that actually it was ah!
Yeah, so he landed very hard.
I've never done it without a person there.
And then when the War Raiders did the fallout as well and just like
folded him in half.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like folded him into about 6 different ways from Sunday. It was just like it was like something out the thing.
I've seen him tweeting about it. I've seen him tweeting about like people gifting it and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe he's okay.
Yeah,
I hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah, I think he should be fine for Mania. If Rey Mysterio is going to be fine, then I'm sure he'll be all right as well.
He's made of elastic. It'll be fine. It's going to go.
He's just Stretch Armstrong.
Yeah,
He'll be fine.
It's all his limbs overstretched out and they're just slowly.
You throw Stretch Armstrong down the stairs, he's all right.
Yeah,
it's fine. You just go down there and pick him back up. That's right, he still stretches. But yeah, I thought this was really, really great. Loved. I mean, my standout for it was Hanson, though. Hanson doing his big flip-de-doo dives, doing the big cannonball off the top rope, and doing his cartwheels and stuff.
My favourite bit was the competitive streak between Rowe and Aleister Black. There was a brilliant moment, and it's very early in the match, but they do a couple of their normal spots. I think Rowe goes for a knee and pulls it.
Yeah.
And then just steps back and leaves Aleister Black just looking at him like that. And then Aleister places a roundhouse kick on Rowe's shoulder and then just leaves it.
Yeah.
And then they do a little fist bump. And it's like, that was such a cool moment.
It was.
Of just being like, nah, don't, you know.
Lovely babyface
Yes,
match.
exactly,
Really,
yeah.
really enjoyed all of this. Also, give big shout out to Ricochet for his fall away slam on Hansen.
Oh, my God.
Because Hansen's a big old dude. And
He popped his hips easier than my grandma.
oh, the pop of the hips it was Taz levels of popping hips. It was wonderful stuff. But yeah, War Raiders picked up the win with the Fallouts. Really, really fun opener.
The other moment with the Rowan Alistair Black bit where he just black masses him. He slides in the ring. They have that really big long face off, and he just goes boom. Done,
mate. And then they had a nice proper send off for Ricochet and Alistair Black. They'd already said goodbye to the Full Sail crowd at the TV tapings. Big standing ovation from everyone. Thank you, Alistair. Thank you, Ricochet.
Ricochet cried.
Ricochet was full
was
of tears.
The biggest softie of all time.
Absolutely. It was like me watching the Lego movie.
Bawling.
Let's get bawling. I was like, everything is awesome. And yeah, it was lovely. The pictures from backstage of like those two with Triple H with the hugs and Triple H like thanking them for everything they've done. Really, really lovely moments. And it was one of a series of lovely moments.
Yeah,
in
it's
the show.
it's such a shame, isn't it, that those lovely moments happen in NXT, and you're just like, and you don't get a reward at the end of it. You get to go to the main roster.
Well, we don't know where they're going just yet.
Yeah, maybe.
I just don't be in a tag team. That's all I'm saying. Piper Niven and Tony Storm were in the crowd representing the NXT UK brand. And then we got the NXT North American Championship match between Velveteen Dream and Matthew Riddle, with Dream coming out as the Statue of Liberty to the Star-Spangled Banner. I thought I would just say the facts there, as accused of being accused of other things. So I thought it was a really, really cool entrance.
Yeah, it was wicked. And he had a plinth and
and
he has his own version of the boys to wheel him down.
Apparently, someone said the video. I haven't actually seen the video, but Matthew retweeted it. The two lads at the front went to lift him up early before he'd before he sat down, and you can hear one of the guys at the back go, "Not yet." He hasn't sat down. He'll fall off.
Amazing.
So yeah, it was a really, really cool entrance for Velveteen Dream. Just he finds a way to He's the demon of the new era of NXT in that you go to a takeover show being like, oh, what entrance is he going to do this time? And you get those reports of being like, it was the greatest entrance to see live. And it's the sort of entrance that, and Dream's not the first person to do this. As I said, Finn Balor did this.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode had this a lot as well. When he was NXT champion, he always had the big choir-based entrances and things like that.
Yeah.
I feel like Andrade had some really big entrances as well.
War Raiders are getting big entrances.
War Raiders
now,
getting them as well. And they're the sort of entrances that we all say, man, I can't wait to see that at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'm starting to realize now, I just don't think we will.
No.
Not to that level. I don't think they'll give him the big pomp and circumstance. He'll just get a regular entrance.
I think they've used things sparingly enough, don't they, on NXT, where you're they've got people who they've gone, that's your entrance. Johnny Gargano, despite the fact that he's main evented every takeover for however long, tends to just come out
in cosplay.
And that's his bit of takeover is you get a new outfit.
Yeah.
Whereas Dreams is you get this whole parade of
exactly, because it fits his character.
Yeah, exactly.
Really fits his character. So I really, really like that, and I love the dueling chants to start this off. Crowd were very, very hot for this, and I felt that the story of this match was Dream didn't take Riddle seriously.
Yeah,
he just thought, hey, you're that bro guy. You come out and you go, bro, and you got your flip-flops and whatnot and your carefree Michelangelo attitude. So I'm just going to make fun of you. I'm going to do the Karate Kid pose.
Turns out, though, he's actually Raphael.
Yeah.
And easily riled.
Exactly. Because Matt Riddle's answer to everything that Dream did was just, I'm going to stretch you out then. Yeah. I'm just going to stretch you out and then I'm going to knee you in the face. Oh, you're going to do that? Fine, I'll just German suplex you then instead then.
But this was I think the story here was that, Dream, someone who obviously has a lot of guts and a lot of talent and was being outclassed by someone who is a technical wizard.
Yeah,
basically.
absolutely.
And I think that was just, and it was, like you said in your review, it isn't a case of Dream stole a win here. He survived Matt Riddle.
Yeah.
He didn't this wasn't a definite victory.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It felt like it was a last ditch attempt. It was his Hail Mary, and his Hail Mary was, I'm just going to try and roll you up while I'm in the bro mission.
Yeah.
And if this fails, that's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I thought they told a really, really cool story in here. I loved the ankle lock that Matt Riddle did.
Oh my God, that was so vicious.
He was really twisting that round. It felt like a brutal ankle lock that someone would tap out to. And then Dream tried to roll over and kick him. So he just grabbed the other ankle and locked an ankle lock. I thought it was so cool.
Yeah, but this was the thing. It was like, it was using the psychology of like, Riddle was an MMA fighter. So Riddle has thought about, if this happens, I do this. If this happens, I do this. And every single escape or move that Dream tried, Riddle just had an answer for.
Yeah.
And then we got the sort of, Dream did his usual sort of bit of, let's play the hits, and we'll do a bit of Hulk Hogan, we'll do a bit of Randy Savage. Like,
yeah,
he sort of played to the crowd, and that's when he gets his fire and his power, is like, not pandering, but playing to what kind of like giving people sort of fanboy moments.
The big colourful character that he is, yeah. Because this was an MMA fighter versus a comic book character.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that's great. Like, I loved that. I thought it was a really nice sort of dichotomy and things like that. And man alive, Matt Riddle's deadlift German suplex off the second rope.
I thought he was dead.
Oh, damn.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah,
I was like, dream over.
Yeah, I'm glad we got replays to show that he had managed to sort of flip himself around.
He's okay.
Oh, thank God he's okay. But yeah, I loved that match. I thought it was really, really cool. Everyone selling it was brilliant. They did the bro fist afterwards. I thought it was just wonderful stuff. Where do you see Matt Riddle going from here?
NXT title, I imagine. I think maybe we'll have a sort of one more feud for both Gargano and Riddle, and then Riddle will be in the title picture sooner rather than later.
I think so as well. I think they're very much gearing him up for that NXT title run.
Oh, yeah.
They announced that they have officially signed Kushida from New Japan, and then he was shown in the crowd with a lovely little hat. He looked very, very dapper and very, very cool.
Cushioned Shida.
I'm excited to see what Kushida can do in the NXT brand. I want to see if they're going to keep up the time splitter gimmick of letting him come out dressed as Marty McFly and all that. I'm really hoping that they do, because I very much enjoy a Kushida entrance. I've seen it many times over. Shared a lift with Kushida, as I often tell, and I've never been so nervous.
Different sort of entrance.
I've never been so nervous in my life to share an elevator with Kushida, because I just wanted to go, I love your entrance. I think Back to the Future is a great movie too. I think it's my third favourite film of all time.
You must get this all the time.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm getting off on this floor. It's fine. Right, then we got what for me was match of the night and is a possible match of the year contender. It was Pete Dunne versus Walter for the WWE United Kingdom Championship. My God, I thought this match was just... I gushed about it in the review, so I won't spend too much time gushing about it again. But I can't say enough good things about it.
This was a masterclass of psychology, though, wasn't it? It was like this was how I envisioned big person versus small person matches to go down.
Absolutely.
And like I think that there were people in the comments last night when we were live streaming saying this is like a Baron Corbin match or a Jinder Mahal match, and I was like, no, this is what Baron Corbin and Jinder Mahal think they're doing.
Yeah.
Like Walter's offense. Yeah, it's like rest holdy in places, but it's also vicious in a way that I like. The bit where he puts him on the top rope, climbs up, puts his foot right on Dunn's throat. There was Dunn's bridging, and he stamps on his throat. Like there was all these moments of just complete barbarism that other people aren't doing, using their size in that way. Like the Walter's confidence as well. We've done. Dunn makes the mistake of chopping him, and then Walter's just like, "Oh no, I'm much bigger than you.
Yeah,
have that,
exactly,
have this. Why don't you have this one as well?" And
exactly, Dunn will try a chop, and he'll go like, "Try that again."
Yeah, have a go. Exactly. I literally don't care.
Yeah, have a go if you think you can do.
And it was only and then that works really well. And what gelled so brilliantly about this is that works very well with Pete Dunne's technical takedown style of like, I'm going to start to bend your fingers. I'm going to start to manipulate your joints. I'm going to break you down piece by piece until I can get the advantage.
And what I love about Walter as a wrestler, and why I think he is the best big man in the business at the moment, because certainly in today's scene, is he knows how to sell for a smaller guy and make it look believable, and make it look like I'm not just a big dumb lug that has been outsmarted. It's not like the thing that the main roster always do with their big guys is that they just have to run into something, and that's how the smaller man takes over. It's Braun Strowman posting himself. It's Braun Strowman running into the barricade or something like that. Walter knows how to work a match, and the bookers and everything around him and the agents and everything know how to work a match to tell a story that, yeah, you are the bigger man, but you have a weakness, and it's about that smaller person trying to find what that weakness is. And it's not finding a weakness, it's using their strengths against you.
Yes,
so
exactly.
for Pete Dunne, it's joint manipulation and trying to tie you up into these, essentially trying to tie you up in a bow.
Yes, yeah.
And there was some really great moments in that.
Outmaneuvering, slowly chopping you down.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Pete Dunne using the joint manipulation on the fingers, the finger break spots. If you take the chop away from Walter, that's one of his moves gone.
Yeah.
That's then going to struggle for the glory bomb. That's going to struggle for him getting up to the top rope to do the splash. I thought it was a masterfully worked match. It was a progress match. It was a progress main event on a WWE show, and I loved it.
They just had so much stuff in there that just made my skin crawl of how horrible it looked as well. This just felt like a war that two guys had, and to cap it off with Walter winning the title, which he definitely should have and was completely the right decision to make, because otherwise no one's ever catching Pete Dunne's record, basically. But it was the perfect time to move it on. He's the perfect man to have that championship.
Yeah.
It felt like the match that title change deserved.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now on that NXT UK brand, you can almost have Walter versus British Strong Style. And those three together almost trying to work, uniting to try and take the belt back off of him.
Yeah.
And you can, one of the...
and then there's layers of feuding that can go on between them. It's almost like a David Starr, Jordan Devlin kind of vibe.
Yeah.
There's all this stuff you can get out of it. You can
I think there's some really, really good stuff that can come out of the NXT UK brand with Walter as champion. Not sure if... Maybe it'll be enough to make me watch the show. Who knows?
Yeah, you can just do sort of the import killer style thing with him as well. There's so much with Walter that's just like the disrespect. I'm hoping that he comes out completely disrespecting the belt now that he's got it.
Like he does an OTT.
And I think that should be the case. Is
like he did an OTT.
Yeah, we should just do that with him now.
Yeah, and that can then build you to that big moment when the British guy or the UK guy wins the belt back again. And I think there's some really good stuff out of this. But back to the match, I don't know. I get it's a difference of taste.
Yes, it is, absolutely, yeah.
And so if you didn't like this match, I don't think you're wrong to dislike this match. I don't think you're wrong to think that it was boring. But for me, personally, I thought it was a masterclass of wrestling.
It takes a little bit of patience, I think, in general, to get into these things.
Yeah.
But it's the slow cascade of it building up into a complete torrent of moves and meaning.
And I think comparing it to a Baron Corbin match is
well, that's unfair because he just goes, I don't have anything for this bit, so neck crank.
Neck crank your neck crank. Oh yeah, it's vicious. Even
though
I'm
City.
not actually moving my hands. Oliver Davis, do we have any questions before we get into the main event?
I had to find the right button.
Forgotten the buttons.
Yeah.
There's loads of questions.
Oh, excellent.
Let's have some. So from that red hoodie guy, should Shayna be in the Battle Royal to further push NXT? This is WrestleMania's women's Battle Royal. To further push NXT, especially if she walks in with the NXT title.
No, because that just then identifies that as a jobber thing.
Yeah, you are in a match with everyone that didn't have anything else to do.
Yeah.
I mean, if you walk into that match and win it and be like, I don't care, and just walk out again, fine. But
just don't even look
it's
at
an
the
attitude.
it's
an attitude thing. I think.
Yeah.
I
love the idea.
Don't even pick up just push the trophy over and leave. That might work.
I love the idea of doing a standoff, like a stare down between Baszler and Asuka, and that'd be a really bone chilling moment. But at the same time, it's the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal on the pre-show that no one cares about.
Yeah, and Asuka's found herself there accidentally.
Exactly, yeah. So
a series of unfortunate events, Asuka finds herself.
It is not how I would choose to debut Baszler on the main roster.
Yeah, and just because I didn't switch the camera because it's just a matter of days in it. What's more effective, the pre-show of WrestleMania or the Raw or SmackDown after Mania?
Yeah,
either of those times are much better, more effective. Tanner Starica asks, why hasn't Vince been called out for not watching NXT and essentially burying most of the talent on the main roster? Is it time for Triple H?
The reason why he's not been called out is because he's the boss. He's in charge.
Yeah. Hey man, what are you doing? You're fired. It's I think he's burying everyone on the main roster. I don't think anyone.
It's not exclusive to NXT.
He's got about 5 people that he can manage to put over, and that is pretty much it. So there's a litany of people being buried on the main roster. It just happens that the NXT guys are lumped in with all the other mid-card acts.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I would go as far to use the word buried. Misused.
Yes,
I would certainly use.
They're not.
Yeah,
no one's getting over. Is more what I mean.
That's exactly it. Yeah, no one is getting over on the main roster at the moment. There's a very small core group of people that are, and unfortunately, they're not some of those NXT talents that really could.
It's not a burying; it's a slow breaking down of credibility.
Like
it's a decaying of their credibility.
So someone tweeted me today saying like, "Oh, do you think they put the NXT Championship on Gargano so he doesn't go to 205 Live?" And I was like, "I don't think they have that power. Like, if Vince wants him, then Vince will just put him wherever."
Yeah. He'll be there as NXT champion next week.
Yeah.
Fine.
I'd already switched the camera. I didn't know you were going to keep talking.
Sometimes I do.
And it's back.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah, but they've got to pay their dues, haven't they, on the main roster?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What does NXT count for? The Mountain, Matthew Dennis here. Who should Ricochet and Aleister Black feud with first on the main roster as single stars?
Nice.
The Revival as separate entities.
I love how you kind of goaded us into that because I was all ready to go like, not a tag team, single stars. But you'd already were one step ahead of us. Like Matt Riddle and Velveteen Dream, you are one step ahead of us. So yeah, as single stars, that's an interesting one. I'd like to see Black and Joe over on SmackDown, especially if it was over the US title.
I'd like to see Ray versus Ricochet.
Oh yes,
Ricochet
over the US.
Ricochet. That's what I want. That's what I want.
That's my answer.
The problem is that's now a tag team in my head. So
absolutely, Or Rick and Mustafa Ali.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Sorry, Ali.
If Buddy Murphy makes the move to the main roster as well, Buddy Murphy Ricochet would be an amazing series of matches.
Yeah, we've all gone for Buddy Murphy to retain, but I actually want Buddy Murphy to lose and to go across to the main roster.
Just Tony Nese is not the man. Like just they've not done anything with him.
John Cusack, bootleg John Cusack.
Especially because Buddy Murphy's like legit 204 pounds, isn't he? So he just has to eat a biscuit, and he can move to Raw. Why isn't he just eating a biscuit?
It's probably every Monday he's doing like a cling film workout to just cut the weight just to be the right size.
And also the daftest thing, in WWE kayfabe, he weighs more than Finn Balor, who was going for the Universal Championship not 3 months ago.
Yeah, but Finn Balor's got a demon.
Oh, is that? But he didn't bring it out then, did he?
He's got a demon.
Just a few more shout-outs. Thank you, Grant S. Jamie's Dole Life says that NXT North American Championship match was just so amazing. Riddle needs to go heel.
Ooh.
He worked a little bit he worked a little bit heel in the match in general. I think like he's quite good at picking up on sort of how things are going. And once the beatdown started, the crowd turned on him a little bit, and he just really went for it, which gave Dream that huge Hulk Hogan firing back up.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I don't want to turn Michelangelo heel, so he's too lovable.
But that's why he's Raphael.
Oh, maybe you're right.
I think he's just a tweener, isn't he? Just always keep him flicking between the two.
I think it's the difference between his out of ring persona and his in ring persona. Like that, I think, and that's what they played on in that match. It's like no one takes him seriously when he's on the mic and when he's hanging around being like, bro. And then as soon as he gets in the ring, it's like, oh no, he's a murder machine. I don't want any of this, please.
And T-Wolf, the Typhoon Ranger, asks, who do you think the next Shayna Baszler for NXT will be after she's brought up to the main roster?
Aep Shirai. I think Io Shirai and Kairi Sane are really going to lead that division.
Or do you mean like a more
a dominant
heel champion?
Oh. If they stay, I can almost see them doing it with Jessamine Duke. I mean, that literally feels like a unilateral movement. But I could almost see them going like keeping it in that MMA style world. And they're very high on Jessamine Duke by all accounts.
Chelsea Green.
Yeah, I'd like to see Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green, especially if she is like her the mess character that she was. Yeah, hot mess character that she had an impact. Yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
I think she could do sort of like almost like a pseudo AJ Lee kind of vibe, and that would work as the sort of dominant champion.
Do you know who I'd like? Viper.
Yeah.
Piper Niven in that role, I think, would be a great shout. I think she'd be amazing as the NXT Women's Champion. Or if you want to move her across, Rhea Ripley. and put her in that role.
There's talk of Rhea Ripley going to the main roster quite soon, though, isn't there?
That's unsurprising. She's like 12 foot tall, and so
she's also incredible.
She's also amazing, absolutely. Yeah. Was that our last question, Oliver Davis? Right. Well, in which case, let's talk about the main event of the show, which was Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, Bebe, in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the vacant NXT Championship. We all went Adam Cole. I'm so glad we were wrong.
Yeah. After seeing the way it came out. Well, I wouldn't have been disappointed if Cole had won, but I think the ending we got was what was necessary.
Oh no, sawdust got in my eyes and everything. Cry. It was so this was I don't want to sound like I'm negative on this match because I did love it. Yeah. And I did think it was absolutely amazing by the end.
Yeah.
But the problem, the anchor that this match had was it was a 2 out of 3 falls match when it really didn't need to be. And I felt that was a crutch to the match because the first 2 falls weren't structured to elevate the third fall.
They were a break.
They were just there to almost like, well, we just need to get these out of the way so we can then do the final fall, as opposed to working them into a storyline.
Yeah, I feel like everyone just sort of, like we especially, I think, fatigue kicks in at a certain point as well. Of like there was a lot of hype in this show, and it was hard to maintain it through a whole 3 hours or whatever it was. But those first
Can't wait for WrestleMania.
Those first 2 falls were very difficult to sort of buy into because you're like, well, they don't really count. I think like deploying Cole should have done got the first one almost the same. Second one should have been where the era came out. I almost feel like obviously that it played really heavily into the last bit, but like deploying them there and being like Johnny's fought back to a point where looks like he's going to get this fall back from sort of he's going to start to make his comeback. Then it feels like here's all the mounted pressure that you're not going to win this, and then he wins that next one, and then it goes into this long stretch. They get ejected or whatever, and it goes into this huge long stretch of them doing all these crazy spots and moves. Yeah, and then you can kind of play the end the same almost if you did only 2 of the era came out the first time, or 1 of them came out and then the other 2 come out later.
Absolutely. And what you just said then was you're using the 2 out of 3 fall stipulation to formulate a story throughout the match, whereas this match was the first 2 falls just happened, and then the story kicked in,
and we all knew it was going to go 1-1 and then it would come down to the last one. So if you're not going to do it in a way that makes it seem like a 2-0 sweep is possible, what's the point?
That's it, yeah. And I don't think it was particularly well structured. But I will say, ignoring that and just pretending that the match started at the final fall, this was absolutely incredible. Yeah. I mean, we were on our feet. I nearly lost my voice by the end of this because we were cheering and we were yelping so much. I think by the time this got into its second gear, which it did for its final fall, I think it was absolutely incredible. It felt like the classic style of NXT main event that we expected them to do from the get-go.
Yeah.
So I loved it for that.
And I love the fact that they mixed in, like, you know, this was a match that's 2 weeks old or whatever it is, and they mixed in all the Ciampa stuff to give it that extra meaning, like hitting the draping DDT. There's a fairy tale ending. There's all these bits and bobs. There's the DIY kick. Like, oh,
it was so
good, and it all fits Cole's character so perfectly as well. To be like, oh yeah, you know your mate that's injured now, like who's also been sold as a babyface. I'm going to use his moves to beat you.
Exactly, it's like what Andrade and Zelina Vega were doing when the DIY split happened, and Zelina would throw the T-shirt at him to distract him.
People know it's his weakness. Like, you know, Ciampa is his Achilles heel.
Exactly. So
I Achilles' best heel in the business.
I thought it was a wonderful use of Ciampa stuff. The fairy tale ending on the table.
Whoa, was that meant to break? I don't know.
I don't know. Apparently you can hear in the record someone shout, "I am the table." But yeah, and they did like the Ciampa submission, and I just think that he almost felt like the third man of this match. He was just like this ghost,
the looming spectre
that was hovering over this all the time. And I thought it was really, really great.
And they went to the well as well. Both guys were pulling out like moves they haven't really done on NXT for a long time. It felt like a proper like desperate grab to get this coveted prize. Like for Johnny and for Cole, they've both had that hanging over their careers the whole time they've been in NXT. Like Cole's first thing he did in NXT was hold up that belt. Yeah. And same goes for Johnny, who's been chasing it the entire time he's been there. So
yeah, and really, really great stuff. Loved the Canadian Destroyer by Adam Cole, and there was an incredible series of near falls and near falls and near falls and near falls. And then the Undisputed Era rundown, because you've got Gargano getting on the Gargano escape. Here comes the Undisputed Era. They
Roddy's
distract
on
the
the apron,
referee, and Cole is tapping out. And I bought this hook, line, and sinker. And I just said, Cole's winning.
Yeah.
This is it, because he's tapped out now. And they suckered you in thinking that
So
way.
good.
And that's how good
Damn
these
you
two are.
using my wrestling knowledge against me.
Well, that's how good these guys are. And actually, and I said this in the review, it's how good Johnny Gargano is as a babyface, because at the start of this match, the crowd were sweeter for Cole than they were him. By the end of it, this crowd were 100% behind Gargano and wanted to see him win.
Yeah.
And I think the structure of the second half of that match and the work that these two did was just like incredible, absolutely incredible.
It is yet another NXT TakeOver main event. It's just like, is this better than the last one? I don't.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely,
Unreal stuff.
And there was
I don't think I've ever I don't think there's any wrestling I've ever watched where I've got out of my seat more than any Johnny Gargano match. He's just so good at just bringing you right in, and you're just like, I am Johnny Gargano. I care so much. Like, oh.
Yeah, I love the him getting back into the ring by 9 off the count out.
It was the bit where he took out the Undisputed Era on the outside. So he he tips Cole onto them.
Yep.
He tips Cole onto them, gets out, beats them all down. Cole's back in the ring. He slides back in. And that was the point where I was like, you've gone too far, Johnny. You did
Exactly. He distracted
in classic
himself.
Johnny Gargano style, you've got distracted and done too much. And then Cole hits him with a super kick in the last shot. And that was the point where I was like, that's it. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. No.
Oh, mate. Those live reactions were absolutely... It's so fun to watch back of us just freaking out for all of this. And then they did the high-low by Red dragging another kick out. And then, I just thought it was absolutely incredible stuff. I think actually that high-low came before the spot that you were talking about. Gargano finally gets in the Gargano escape and wins. I have seen some criticism about this match, not around the 2 out of 3 falls thing, but that it was some people are saying it was a bit of a burial of the Undisputed Era because Gargano just kept kicking out of all of their moves and made them look quite ineffectual. I don't know what you think about that. I mean, I don't think I completely agree with it.
I think Johnny has lost enough that you have to sort of put it down to, he just wanted it so much that night. Like, I think it's, and like they put it over that, Johnny's just a lot of heart. And maybe a lot of stupidity as well. Yep. Just like sometimes he just prolongs his own punishment. But in this one case, it finally worked out for him because he's, like we said, all the points at which we were like, he's done too much. He's lost now. Like, you should have done this, Johnny. You should have done that. Like all the points where you become that movie theater audience going, no, don't go in there. Just don't. All those points, they swerved.
Yeah, absolutely was. And then at the end of it, he's got the Gargano escape in. He wins. He holds up the belt. Candice LeRae runs down and they celebrate. They celebrate with the crowd. Loads of replays. And they start walking up the ramp. That little thing in the corner comes up, the little bumper that says, like, hey, this show's coming to an end now.
The Ciampa signal. That's what, yeah.
And like clockwork, out comes Tommaso Ciampa, big neck brace and all, and they all embraced on the top of the ramp. I've seen, I can't remember who it was, I think it was Ryan Satin of Pro Wrestling Sheet say that it was a terrible ending because it just ruined all the kayfabe of the storyline they've been telling, but I disagree with that. I thought it was a really lovely, lovely moment. Mm-hmm. And and it was just a wonderful ending to the show.
Yeah, I think the only story, with the actual kayfabe story ruined through real life circumstance, the only thing you could do is play on that to be like, well, this is the only thing better than us finishing what we were doing is just going, oh yeah, these guys are like really old friends and this is an amazing moment for Johnny. Like, this is his ascension to the top of the thing.
And I think that even if without the injury, this would have been the ending to NXT TakeOver New York, would have been Johnny Gargano winning the belt and him and Ciampa embracing at the top of the ramp. Ciampa going back to being a babyface again.
He beat the heel out of him.
Exactly, beat the heel out of him. And like Ciampa realizing the error of his ways and then becoming best mates again.
I just love everyone. Mentions music.
So that was NXT TakeOver New York. We're going to have to get out of here pretty sharpish because we've got to do another live stream very soon. But Oliver Davis, hit me up with some questions, please.
I've got some questions. I've also got some recent news. Rey Mysterio looks like he's going to be in the WrestleMania match. So it's another match.
Another match!
Sorry, what do you mean?
So Rey Mysterio had an ankle injury.
Yeah, no, I know.
And they were going to evaluate him today. And it's all good.
It's all
apparently.
good. Okay, all right, I'm with you now.
Which is really, that's good. I don't want people to be injured.
We're going to be here till Tuesday, though, watching. Mania.
I mean,
Manana.
Yeah.
Me and
See you in the manana.
Me and Ollie literally are, because we're watching SmackDown after Mania as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bunch of questions have come in, and I've lost where they are. So thank you,
Good work,
Mike
Gatson.
Geese. Gagan Deep Singh says, who should be next in line for the NXT Championship?
I'd like to see a Cole rematch.
Yeah, I think a Cole rematch would be good. Who else is there? Dijak.
Yeah, I think they're going to carry on with that.
Dijak.
But unless you want to
He's
move
gonna
Matt
do
Riddle
Keith,
up
yeah.
soon.
I think Matt Riddle maybe like is a sort of babyface versus babyface thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anyone else. Like, this is the problem, is like Ciampa and Gargano have had such a stranglehold on that roster.
Yeah.
And we've lost Black and Ricochet that it's now just sort of like, it's anyone's game.
Yeah, it's anyone, and that's kind of the good thing about it, is now anyone's game. So you could easily move in a Dijak. A Jackson Riker could move up into that position. You could move up a Keith Lee. So yeah, they've got a good group of guys that they could easily move up.
I think
into that
Riker would be a
championship.
good cool down feud to have for a little bit. It could be like a Lars Sullivan to Aleister Black. Like, this is a proving ground.
Yeah,
you know.
It does feel a bit like Daniel Bryan winning the title and going against Kane, though. So
I've got 2 Adam Cole related questions. One from Logan Mills. Where do you see Adam Cole and Undisputed Era going in the future? And from Fell0246. How can Adam Cole be taken as a serious contender for the title in the future after this match?
I think that you can. Adam Cole has got enough behind him that he'll always feel like a credible contender.
Yeah.
Even with the same with Johnny Gargano. Like, Gargano lost pretty much every match he had last year on TakeOver, yet everyone still took him seriously as a title contender.
I think you have to. Yeah, I think you have to mix in NXT specifically. You've got to mix the kayfabe with the in-ring work that people are doing, and sort of. That's kind of how they come to the conclusions there. It's not just like, you win all these matches and therefore you're the best.
Yeah.
It's like, if the crowd are behind you in Full Sail, chances are you're going to be pushed to the top.
And in response to the question of where did the Undisputed Era go from here, there was a WWE.com video that they released where Adam Cole was berating the rest of the Undisputed Era for essentially failing at their job, and he singled out Roddy in particular. So I hope that they're not going to go down the route of a split.
No, but I think they might do a Roddy leaves, which is fine. Like, because he still keeps Kyle and Bobby probably. But I think they should. I think they should stay together. I would love to see the payoff finally be that they hold all 4 titles.
Yeah, if you're going to do
four
the
men's titles,
if you're going to do the Roddy split off, I'd like to see them hold all the belts.
and then
first.
also get a woman.
Yeah,
Get a woman. Let's have the women's championship in there, and let's actually be the Undisputed Era before we leave NXT.
good shout.
Charlotte Flair, yeah? Just Vince McMahon can add it.
Yeah, you can do what you want. It's just
Absolutely, yeah, makes sense.
So
makes sense.
Benny Sato, who's been very generous, asks...
He's one of our pledgehammers.
Who do you think Kushida will be feuding with first? Will he still be the time splitter?
I hope he'll still be the time splitter, as we were saying earlier. But
what about a sort of copyright infringement?
I think you can
change the color of your gilet, and it's fine.
color swap it.
Yeah.
Who could he face first? That's a good question of like who his first feud can be. I mean, to be honest, I can almost see Kushida falling into that Keith Lee, Punishment Martinez, Dominik Dijakovic role of like being signed and then not appearing on TV for 8 months.
Yeah.
And you're just like you were just a face.
Well,
in the crowd.
hopefully all of that lot start to just revolve around the North American title now that we've sort of. Hopefully the next crop are going to start moving up, and then these guys can all start falling into like, let's actually have some title shots going down with Dream.
Hey, yeah, Kushida going into that picture as well would be pretty good. 'Cause that's 2 very colourful characters going up against each other. Then,
I mean, the answer's obvious. It's Chris Hero.
No, because he's in NXT UK now, so it can't be Cassius Ohno. He's moved brands.
I didn't know that, and I also forgot he was called Cassius Ohno.
Ollie Davis, the regular watcher of NXT.
TV Guy Owl, do you think the NXT style of booking can be done on Raw and SmackDown, or is it not PG enough? Or do they make SmackDown on Fox the NXT style main show versus Raw as the PG style show? I think it's all PG.
NXT's a PG product. Yeah, it's a very PG product.
I think you can do. Yeah, you can do. I think it just
Yeah.
takes more thought than they're putting into it sometimes.
And I think WWE have convinced themselves that the casual audience does not want to see what hardcore fans want. And so they present a different product. They think that regular fans want to see the same tag matches. They want to see the same style of singles matches, same style of women's matches. they have convinced themselves that fans go to see entrances and finishes and nothing else actually matters. And that this NXT stuff is a fad. It's for it's for those nerds on the internet, and it doesn't actually matter. So it can be done. They just choose not to do it because they've convinced themselves they don't have to.
That red hooded guy. Yes, you can make crap gimmick wrestling on 2K on the PS4. That'd be fun. And Benny Sato again asked, where is the Andy Datsun merch? And I replied that it's on Andy Datsun right now. There's only one T-shirt.
There's one T-shirt in existence.
Yeah.
And so I thought it would be quite interesting to see what if people actually want it. I said, serious question, who would buy a Randy Andy Datsun T-shirt if we released it? How many people do you think even answered the question?
I'm going to say 5.
More than you'd imagine, maybe.
2.
Oh, okay, fine.
And one last question.
How many of them
here.
were Randy Andy Datsun?
Yeah, in different logins. So one last question
Dandy
here.
Randy Datsun.
Aftermatch Wrestling says, we've been reviewing NXT UK since episode 1. When will WrestleTalk start reviewing it? If you don't plan to, can you air our NXT party for free? No, we can't, unfortunately. But yeah, the interest isn't there for NXT UK.
I was going to say, this is a question for you more than us, because you're the man in charge of all this.
Yeah, well, we've only got limited resources. We cover enough WWE stuff as it is. If we were to do any other shows, I'd like to start doing an Impact or a Ring of Honor or more New Japan stuff. I don't want to do 205 Live and WWE NXT UK.
Yeah.
We pick it up when it's in the news.
Exactly, yeah. We'll pick it up when it's in the news, but it's a cynically created brand. But anyway, that's all we've got time for on this show today. Thank you so much for watching this live stream, and thank you so much for watching yesterday's live stream. And if you're going to join us for the live stream that's coming up soon, because we're going to be watching the G1 in about an hour or so.
And Screen Stalker.
And actually, head over to Screen Stalker because we're going to be playing WWE 2K19 very, very soon.
Like half an hour.
It's about half an hour. Oh, it's only 9 o'clock. Yeah, I thought it was later than that. Actually.
Yeah.
So about half an hour's time, we're going to be playing some 2K19, where you in the super chats can suggest the matches that we're going to play. So, and I might join in this time as well.
Yeah, you definitely can, because I cannot do kickouts, so that would be. Otherwise, it's just a foregone conclusion, isn't it?
Yeah, the Pin Raider is undefeated right now. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Larae.
You've got no idea for drama or ring psychology. You're a bad storyteller, Davis. You're a bad storyteller.
I'm a great storyteller, and I'll show you at Sacrifice.
But I'll be there first.
I'll be there first.
I'll be there first.
I'll be there first.
I'll be there first sooner.
I'll be there 0.5.
Fine.
So if you want to see that, go down, head on over to Screen Stalker in about half an hour. We'll actually have the event up pretty soon, so you can go and get involved, get the chat going over there. Give them a subscribe too, because they're excellent, and we do videos for them.
They're us.
I know they're
Don't
us.
call them them.
Yeah, us over there.
Us.
On the
Us
games
over
and
there
film.
are
Us
excellent.
doing the games and film one.
And I cannot stress enough how much fun it has been doing those Devil May Cry playthroughs and how much fun those videos are watching back.
I like winding Pete up.
And I think,
one's going up tomorrow.
yes, and the third part is very, very good because it's a credit to you as well. I think your editing on them has been it's been fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
So that is all we've got time for here. Please do click the videos that have just appeared on this desk to catch up with the latest WrestleTalk awesome things. This is for the post show when I'm doing post edits. And click this button here to become a pledge hammer on Patreon. I've been Luke Cohen. This has been our Fakador, Laurie Blake. Ollie Davis is over there, and that was wrestling. You need to end the stream, Davis.